Hey everybody, what is up? And welcome back to another list with the TheMKninja. It's been a while since I did my old lists on the worst of each generation. Although I never really finished editing the one for 6. I was really lazy, and by the time I felt like doing it, it was far too late for it. Whatever, anyway, I decided, hey, I should redo it, since I have a lot of new opinions. And I might as well put a spin on it by also adding the top 5 best of each gen as well, and make it all in one video. In my opinion, every generation of Pokemon has a lot of great things to offer, and some bad things too. Some more so than others, though. So, as always, this is entirely my opinion. Please write yours in the comments below, but be nice about it. If you are not, I will delete them. Also, there are plenty of awesome and terrible Pokemon that won't be on this list, so if yours isn't here, ask me about how I feel about it, and I'll tell you in the comments. Anyway, these are the top 5 best and worst Pokemon of every generation. Also, just so this video isn't too long, I'll try to keep the descriptions very brief. Generation 1. Number 5. Worst. Mr. Mime. Now this guy isn't necessarily here because he sucks as a Pokemon. No, he's a fine battler. It's just, I hate his design. It's too stupid and creepy. He's just a guy as a mime, and he's creepy and stupid. Like some kind of really freaky weird guy who just sits there across the street and does absolutely nothing but stare at you. Number 5. Best. Pinsir. Easily one of, if not the best bug Pokemon, Pinsir is super badass and a fantastic addition to a competitive team. Great with and without its Mega, as well as having enough strength to tear you in half. This is one bug you don't want to fuck with. Number 4. Worst. Muck. I'm not really much of a fan of Grimer either, but at least Grimer looks like it's having a good time usually. Muck's design is very lazy, as well as his name, and I can't really imagine using it in a battle that much, because there are so many better poison types that look better too. Number 4. Best. Gengar. I love Gengar's concept, and some of the lore behind it. It's really awesome. It has a nice and simple, but menacing design, and it's a very good ghost type, and also a good poison type. Plus, its Mega is freaking awesome, and the shiny for it looks amazing. Number 3. Worst. Magneton. While Dugtrio could definitely qualify for the uninspired, just make more of the first form Pokemon, I think Magneton is the worst of the two. It has a stronger, better evolution, the design, like I said, sucks, and it's just a very lame and stupid Pokemon. Number 3. Best. Venusaur. Definitely the most underrated of the 3 fully evolved starters, Venusaur is a grass champion. It's bulky, powerful, and pretty great and competitive. I also love its design. It just looks like a living plant tank. I want to ride it into battle. But I can imagine that would be a very slow walk to the field. Nonetheless, Venusaur is awesome. Number 2. Worst. Execute. Oh look! A bunch of eggs! A bunch of psychic eggs. Whoa! Executor is derpy enough to win me over, but this Pokemon has no excuse. It's just really stupid. People bash later gens for having lame designs, but look at this one! It's terrible and stupid. Execute, you suck. Number 2. Best. Vileplume. Another very underrated grass-type Pokemon. I've really loved Vileplume for a while now, ever since I found out this really nice strategy for it. Sure, it might not be the best, but it's got a great design, it can be used competitively, and it's also the deadly Nuptup that can steal your soul. Number 1. Worst. Voltorb. I hate this stupid thing. Seriously, was the creative team drunk when they made this stupid excuse for a Pokemon? It's a fucking Pokeball that explodes and has eyes. Genius! Fucking genius! If the definition of genius was being a goddamn moron. Number 1. Best. Blastoise. Blastoise is definitely the best of the starters. It's a giant turtle tank that can crush its opponents into dust with its super bulky defenses and pretty good attack power. Its Mega is also very underrated and not loved enough. It can be pretty damn good. I mean, it's a turtle with water cannons. That's awesome. Generation 2. Number 5. Worst. Sunflora. Unlike Vileplume, this flower is completely pathetic. One of the weakest of all Pokemon I can think of, there aren't really any situations where I would send out a Sunflora for a battle. Plus, its design isn't really that great either, so it just has nothing going for it. Number 5. Best. Azumarill. Definitely not a Pokemon I ever really expected to love as a super competitive battler. Azumarill can be deadly, especially with huge power, making it a tank that can dish out a lot of damage. It may look cute and cuddly, but it will splash in your blood. Number 4. Worst. Ledian. I know it's really easy to pick on useless Pokemon, but there are some useless ones that I really like. Ledian is definitely not one of them. Besides Sunflora, Ledian is a total weakling, capable of very little and guaranteed to disappoint you, even if your expectations were already very low. Number 4. Best. Crobat. This bat will fuck your shit up. One of the top 10 fastest Pokemon, Crobat is definitely a great poison type to have on a team. Not much will outspeed this winged monster, and with a good selection of moves to choose from, it'll definitely do a good amount of damage. Number 3. Worst. Smoochum. Oh jeez. What is it with some basic Pokemon that just scream, "Hey, I really suck"? And not just as a fighter, but in the design department too. Smoochum is just embarrassing, like Pokemon was going through a phase it should really forget. Number 3. Best. Typhlosion. Easily one of the best fire types in the whole series. Typhlosion is a total badass. With some good base stats, a sleek and awesome design, and a good move pool, why wouldn't you have it on your team? I mean, it explodes fire from its body. Enough said. Number 2. Worst. Unknown. Oh boy, look, another completely useless and idiotic Pokemon. This guy is famous for being one of the most pathetic and laughable Pokemon in the entire roster, spanning several generations and hundreds of party members, because it only learns one move and its stats are garbage. Number 2. Best. Scizor. I've grown in appreciation for bug Pokemon, and Scizor is easily one of the coolest. With some really great stats, good typing with plenty of immunities, and a look that says "don't fuck with me," Scizor just has to make this list. Number 1. Worst. Delibird. I ranted about this Pokemon a while back, and that's because I hate it. Delibird is the Santa Pokemon. Well, why don't you make like the original Santa and die? Please. I'll throw your useless, terrible stat ass off the icy cliff I found you. After clipping your wings, of course, so that way you won't be able to fly. Number 1. Best. Tyranitar. Pseudo-legendaries are all pretty awesome, and Tyranitar is one of the most awesome. It just looks like a powerful monster, capable of turning you into a puddle of blood. It has really good stats, making it a force to be reckoned with. Plus, its Mega is freaking awesome. Generation 3. Number 5. Worst. Clamperl. It's got a rather lazy design that does nothing to impress, as well as just being very forgettable overall. That's all I got for this one. Next. Number 5. Best. Breloom. I never really gave this guy a chance until I started playing competitively. Now, I love it. While being pretty predictable with its tactics, Breloom is still so good at that tactic. I bet you never expected a happy-looking Pokemon like this to have an attack stat of 130. Number 4. Worst. Cascoon and Silcoon. I love Gen 3 to death, but these two feel like cheap knockoffs of the Cocoon Pokemon, Kakuna and Metapod, from Gen 1, but without the charm or originality. Luckily, the Pokemon they evolve into are cool, but these two are just a waste. Number 4. Best. Metagross. Metagross is probably my favorite pseudo-legendary ever. The only one to not have a 4x weakness. Gudra doesn't count, it's a monotype. Metagross is a walking, badass tank with very solid stats and a Mega that can tear you to shreds. Number 3. Worst. Castform. Castform is a very gimmicky Pokemon, with its gimmick being the weather. Cool idea, bad execution. Very useless, with too poor of stats to really care about, and the gimmick being rather weak overall. This guy just really sucks. Number 3. Best. Sceptile. I've always been happy with grass starters, and Sceptile is probably the best fully evolved one ever. Really great speed and special attack stats make this Pokemon a great sweeper, much more so when it Mega evolves, which, by the way, looks really awesome. Number 2. Worst. Volbeat and Illumise. I couldn't decide which one of these Pokemon was worse, so I put them both here. Again, it's really easy to pick on the useless Pokemon, but these two are completely forgettable losers that it's impossible not to make fun of them. Number 2. best. Rayquaza. Absolutely the best and most badass legendary Pokemon ever, in my opinion. Rayquaza is a powerful and commanding dragon. It just looks incredible. Plus, its Mega is absolutely overpowered and broken, and I love it. It is one of the best Mega Evolution designs ever, by the way. Number 1. Worst. Luvdisc. I know, useless argument, whatever. But Luvdisc is just one of those Pokemon everyone picks on. It's so stupid and doofy, it's difficult not to. And I make fun of it too. Pitiful stats, derpy look, and the only use it has is getting hard scales. So get one and then just throw it back in the ocean. Number 1. Best. Gardevoir. Gardevoir is still my favorite Psychic-type Pokemon. I absolutely love her. She has a beautiful and elegant design of grace and majesty. Plus, she's a powerful psychic attacker that you should not mess with, capable of creating small black holes to protect her trainer. Also, again, great Mega Evolution. Generation 4. Number 5. Worst. Jingling. While Chimecho is kind of useless, it's still super adorable, but when they tried making Jingling, I just felt like it was unnecessary and also not nearly as cute. There is something about it, it's just not cute to me, but it is incredibly stupid, so there's that. Number 5. Best. Torterra. Talk about a super badass grass-type Pokemon. This thing is like its own island. Well, an island that can create earthquakes and mess you up. Don't underestimate this grass starter, ever. It's bulky enough to take a hit, then dish enough back to send you home crying to mama, if you didn't explode with blood all over, of course. Number 4. Worst. Chatot. Another Pokemon with a gimmick. And this gimmick sucked, unlike Castforms. So, no matter what, this Pokemon was going to suck. And it does. It's an unworthy pile of feathers that doesn't offer much to a team besides just being kind of dumb. Number 4. Best. Gallade. I was really happy to see the Gardevoir Evolution family expand, and Gallade is a really good Pokemon to add to it. It looks so sleek and awesome, but it's also powerful and can strike you down, utilizing its high attack stat. Number 3. Worst. Lumineon. Yet another Pokemon that nobody cares about. I even often forget this thing exists, and I'm not sure if that's forgivable for being not so bad that it's memorable, or terrible for being so bland it's not worth remembering. I'm gonna go with option 2. Number 3. Best. Garchomp. Badass Dragon Pokemon alert. Badass Dragon Pokemon alert. Yes, yet another pseudo-legendary makes it to the list. Garchomp is just one of those Pokemon that has an aura of awesome surrounding it at all times. It is capable of wrecking your shit without even trying. Number 2. Worst. Bibarel. While Bidoof's complete derpiness has a special place in my heart, Bibarel is just pathetic. It might be a great HM slave, but so is Linoone, and Linoone is good. This Pokemon is just stupid looking that actually gets worse in my opinion when it evolves. Number 2. Best. Giratina. This Pokemon is basically the Satan of the Pokemon universe. How much cooler can you get than that? I mean, like, God is cool too, but with a total menacing and badass design, very powerful stats, and really interesting lore, it's easy to love something so evil. Number 1. Worst. Licky Licky. While a lot of my friends would put Bibarel as number 1, I just believe Licky Licky is worse. It gets worse when it evolves when compared to Bibarel. It's just a stupid and dopey design, and it's totally pathetic. Not even that full Wi-Fi signal on his stomach can save this poor bastard. And no, that was not my joke. Number 1. Best. Leafeon. Leafeon is still my favorite Pokemon to date. I just love this thing so goddamn much. Its design is totally fantastic. It's underrated as a Pokemon, but I am glad to use it in a battle. And it's so adorable that it's impossible not to love it. I command you to love it! Generation 5. Number 5. Worst. Swoobat. Another really stupid Pokemon that has nothing going for it. Nothing. Its design is pretty dull and idiotic, it's not really useful in a fight, and it's just not an interesting Pokemon. Number 5. Best. Galvantula. Ironically enough, I have arachnophobia, so I hate spiders. But I have started to love this guy ever since I began using it. Compound Eyes is a very good ability, making it one of the best Thunder users ever. Plus, it is a pretty great speed stat. Number 4. Worst. Gothitelle. I always felt like this Pokemon was a cheap, stupid version of Gardevoir, but made a bit dark. Well, in my opinion, it backfired. I can just never stand this Pokemon. It always annoyed me. Whenever I see it, I just want to destroy it with a Gardevoir using Shadow Ball. Number 4. Best. Whimsicott. One of the most fucking adorable things to ever be created or conceived by a human being. Ever. It's so fluffy and happy and adorable, and I love it. Plus, it's a really good setup Pokemon with awesome speed and a really good ability with Prankster. Number 3. Worst. The Simmies. These Pokemon were pretty much only made to help you in the first gym. That's the best reason I can think of. After that, they're kind of useless, as there are countless better Pokemon of their 3 possible types to choose from. Also, I don't really like their designs at all. Just throw them away. Number 3. Best. Serperior. Another really good Grass-type starter. Serperior is a really interesting and likable Pokemon that really surprised me with how amazing it is and competitive, especially with its awesome other ability, Contrary. So, stop wasting time and get a Serperior, damn it! Number 2. Worst. Throw and Sock. These 2 Pokemon seem like new versions of the 2 beloved Gen 1 fighters, Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, and boy do they suck! I'd much rather have the originals. Those guys are awesome. These 2 are uninspired jokes I cannot stand. Number 2. Best. Excadrill. Pierce the heavens with your drill, Simone! Who the hell do you think I am? Sorry, I had to. Excadrill is an OU for a reason. Because it's fucking awesome. Great stats, badass design, and it totally reminds me of my favorite anime ever. Number 1. Worst. Watchog. Watchog is still to this day my least favorite Pokemon ever. There is absolutely nothing redeemable about this little bastard or its basic form. It's a horrible excuse for a rodent Pokemon. Its stats are pathetic, its design is totally unlikable, and I just wish it would stop existing. Like, now. Number 1. Best. Crocodile. God damn it, I fucking love this Pokemon. Probably one of, if not the best, Pokemon in the UU tier. Crocodile can be a very reliable Pokemon to have on your team. When you get it set up with Moxie, it is capable of destroying everything. This Pokemon has saved me from quite a good number of binds. Crocodile, I love you. You're awesome. Generation 6. Number 5. Worst. Dayden. While Dayden is a very cute Pokemon, and its name sounds a lot like Dende from Dragon Ball Z, it's not really worth much. It's a pretty weak Pokemon that, despite having a unique type matchup, isn't very original at all. Number 5. Best. Greninja. This Pokemon has gained some serious popularity since its debut. Honestly, while I'm not in love with it as much as everyone else, I still think it's a really good Pokemon. A Ninja Frog is a really cool idea, and Greninja is just a really great battler. Number 4. Worst. Diggersby. Another unfortunately bad rodent Pokemon. Diggersby is quite the stupid addition. It isn't really useful for anything, and both its design and stats leave a lot to be desired. This Pokemon should just dig under the ground and stay under there. Number 4. Best. Aurorus. Yeah, blasphemy for putting an underrated Pokemon above the technically most popular Pokemon as of right now. Well, my love for this Pokemon has only started recently, but I believe Aurorus to be one badass ice dinosaur that can be quite the good ally. Number 3. Worst. Doublade. I'm gonna get this out of the way. I really like Honedge and Aegislash. I think they're creative and awesome. But this is basically reverting back to Gen 1's idea of just make more of the first form. It was lazy then, and it's lazy now. Number 3. Best. Goodra. I was actually surprised when I found out that Goodra was a pseudo-legendary for Gen 6. It didn't really seem like it. But after using it a lot, I found that Goodra was pretty damn awesome. With ridiculous special defense and enough special attack to knock you on your ass, Goodra is a weird but badass dragon. Number 2. Worst. Binacle. While Binacle's whole evolutionary line is pretty forgettable, I at least like Barbaracle. But Binacle is a really stupid looking Pokemon without any good things for it to justify even using it in like a little cup. Best to just evolve it as soon as possible. Number 2. Best. Tyrantrum. Gen 6 had some really good fossil Pokemon. We finally got a T-Rex when Tyrantrum arrived, and it was worth the wait because this guy is totally awesome. Great stats and an interesting type matchup, This dinosaur is more than capable of tearing its opponent limb from limb. Number 1. Worst. Swirlix. I honestly kind of like its evolution, Slurpuff, but Swirlix is just another really stupid looking Pokemon. It's basically a ball of cotton candy with a face, and the cuteness factor will not win me over because this Pokemon is uninspired and fucking stupid. Number 1. Best. Sylveon. Sylveon used to be my favorite Pokemon ever, but after the initial love and awe wore off, that spot went back to Leafeon. Sylveon is still really good though, being arguably the most competitively viable of the evolutions. It may be cute, but its special stats make it one powerful fairy. So yeah, that was my top 5 best and worst Pokemon of each generation. Sorry about the long video, I thought it would be a lot shorter than this. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please go ahead and make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. Tell me your worst and best Pokemon in the comments below. Check out my other videos. Also make sure to check out my supporters, all that great stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Peace out.